Hello everyone, my name is Dan, Head of Physical Therapy here at Kemtai. Today we will do a walkthrough of Kemtai Care Clinician Dashboard. So first of all, after you sign up, you will be taken to this screen. This is the demo clinic we have at Kemtai. You will notice a few things here. First of all, you can see the number of patients you have in the clinic. Obviously, with a new clinic, the number will be 0, but once you add patients, this number will grow along with the number of patients you have. You will see sessions, the number of sessions you have in the clinic. This too will change according to the number of sessions you built. We will understand what sessions are in a minute. You will also get a general idea of how many exercises we have in the system. So this number actually shows the number of active exercises you can use with your sessions or assigned to your patients. This number grows every week by 10 to 40 new exercises. Notice the URL. This URL is the URL you need to browse to in order to log in as a clinician. Okay, so for the first part, we would like to go to the exercise library. We click on the menu on exercise library. In here, you will be able to view all the exercises which you can use in these sessions. So I can browse the exercises. I can also use the filter tool. So the first thing about the filter tool to remember is that we can actually type with free text anything we want. For example, if I want to look for exercises which have the text shoulder in them, I type in shoulder. And automatically all the exercises are filtered just to show any exercises which contain the word shoulder in them. I can also use any other text to filter exercises. We obviously don't always remember all the names of all the exercises, so I can use additional search filters. For example, I can choose performer, which is the model that displays on the screen. For example, if I click mark, I will only see Mark's exercises. I can use body positions to filter exercises even more. I can search for specific joints or body regions, objectives of the exercises, and equipment. So the exercise window actually shows exercises, but I cannot assign any of them to patients from this specific window. We have to use the sessions library or the patients screen, and we'll get to those next. Okay, so moving on to sessions library. This is actually the table of template sessions that were created in the demo clinic. Again, once you have a new clinic, this table will be empty, but any new session that you create will show up in this table. To create a new session, which is actually a template workout session, which can be later assigned to patients, I can click on this blue button, Create Session. That will take me to a new screen. Here I can put in the name of the session. Let's call it Demo Session. I click Add Exercises, and again, I'm taken to the filter tool, which we just previously saw. Let's add some elbow exercises. Once I view exercises and I want to pick some of them, I click them. And then I click Select. Once the exercises are added to my session, I can change the order in which they appear. I can change the number of reps for each exercise. We call that count goal. I can change the time which the exercise displays during the session itself. The time in seconds actually means that the exercise session will move on to the next set if the time runs down, even if the patient did not complete all the reps. So getting the reps in, the time, and I can change the number of sets. If I have more than one set, I can choose how much resting time between sets in seconds. And I can choose how much resting time between exercises. Once I'm satisfied with the exercises and their customization, I can preview the workout This actually runs the session itself with the motion tracker. And I can also choose who can see this session. The only your clinic option means that only people from your specific organization which have signed up to the care system can view this session. Clicking other clinics will actually allow multiple clinics which use Kemtai Care to view and use your session. They will never be able to edit your session directly. They can only see it and create copies of it. But for right now, let's use only your clinic. I click Save, and then the session will show up in the session table. I can filter the sessions using duration, how long the session is, the number of exercises, who is the clinician that created the session, and when the session was created. I can also see sessions that were shared by other clinics, meaning they chose the other clinics in the availability option when saving the session. So these are sessions other clinicians created. If it wasn't me, any other session that I did not create, I can copy and save it, and then I will be able to edit the session. But sessions that were created by other clinicians are not editable by me. That means that only the clinician that created the session can edit the original template. Let's move on to patients. The patient screen has multiple options for display. First of all, this demo clinic shows people working in Kemtai, so these are not real patients, and it only shows patients which have an active session in their calendar. This means that if I click on any of these patients, which we'll do in a minute, we will see that they have an active session that they can actually use as patients right now for today. I can tick this box here that says has active sessions, and then I will be able to see all the patients in the clinic, even those who do not have active sessions for them. Other things we want to notice in this table are that for each patient I can see their name, their email address, the adherence score, the progress, their active session, which is assigned to them right now, the date on which they joined as patients, and who the owner is. The owner is the actual clinician who is in charge of those patients. Let's take a look of a dummy patient I created for myself. So when I enter this dummy patient right now, he doesn't have any sessions assigned to him. I can see, so actually we see sessions assigned to the patient in this calendar. I can see the general information, the contact information. I can see any medical information I would have liked to enter. And that's about all the information I can see for a patient. So if I have a new patient, which I'll show you how to create new patients in a minute. Once I created a new patient, I can assign protocols or sessions to them using the Add Protocol button. I'm taken to a new screen. Here I can import exercises from the templates that we just created. Let's use the demo session we created earlier. I click the demo session, I click Select. Again, I can change anything I want to customize in this area before I click Save. I can actually add additional exercises. Let's add an ankle exercise for him as well. Before I click Save, I have to create a description for the session for the patient. Let's call it Demo Session 1. I choose the starting date. Let's start from today. I want this session to run for 2 weeks. And I can also choose which days the session will be active on. This option lets the patient actually log in and run the motion tracker. It will not be able to do that. The patient, will not be able to run the motion tracker if I turn any of these days off. So if I turn off Saturday, the patient will not be able to run the motion tracker if he logs on a Saturday evening or morning or whatever. So only the days which are turned on will be available for exercising. Another thing important to remember is that the patients receive text messages and emails reminding them that they have exercises to do for that day. They won't receive those reminders for any days I turn off in this window. Once everything is set, I click Save, and then the session will show up in the calendar. So this is what it looks like for a patient who has an active session for them. You'll notice the blue lines and the blue dots. So the blue dots actually illustrate if the patient has logged in and exercised. Once they log in and do an exercise, the dots will turn green. We'll see that in a few minutes, and we'll also see what the information we can receive from past sessions patients have completed. So this is the patient screen. I can actually do a couple more things with the patient. I can send a message by clicking the Actions Send Message button. This sends a message to the patient's email. I can also generate a PDF code, which actually enables the printable version of the login or sign up link. So if I print this QR code, and hand it over to the patient, they will be taken to the sign in page to sign in as patients. We'll see what it looks like in a minute. I can also resend the invitation to sign in as a patient. When I have a new clinic, this table will be obviously empty. I won't have any patients, so I can create new patients, but with two options. The first option is to manually create the patient from the clinician dashboard. So I click Create Patient. I enter their first and last names, email, and phone number. Make sure that you pick the appropriate area code or country code. After I click all the details here, I can click Create, and then a new patient will show up in this table. I also have another option. Instead of manually entering the patient's details, I can click Generate QR Code. Now this is a very, very easy and actually good solution for doctors or very busy clinicians that don't have time to manually enter each and every patient's details. So this option actually enables us to assign a protocol to a specific patient, but let the patient sign themselves up. What I want to do in this window, if I want to use this option, is first I have to again use the template session I want the patient to exercise. So for example, if I have a certain surgery, let's say rotator cuff repair, I'd like all my patients that undergo rotator cuff repair to do the same protocol once they finish the initial hospitalization period and they go home. I'd like them all to do the same exercises. So I pick the specific session that I want them to do, which days I want the session to be active. Let's say, for example, demo QR code, we'll call it like that. The number of weeks I want them to exercise on. So for example, if I want them all to do the same exercises for a couple of weeks after the surgery, so I will click 2 for number of weeks, and then I click Generate. Now what's going to happen is that I'm going to get a PDF that I can print. Again, looks the same like the previous QR code we just saw. But the actual difference here is that once a patient scans this code, they will be taken to another page that prompts them to sign up, meaning that they will have to enter their own name, email address, and phone number. And after they do that, a new patient will be created in this table, plus they will be assigned to the protocol or the template session that I just created in this window. So that means that you can do this QR code creation step just once, print 10 or 20 or 100 pages with the same QR code, and hand them out to each and every patient that finishes either a specific surgery or has to do a specific workout session according to their diagnosis. So you can use the same QR code for different patients as long as they have the same exercises you want them to do. So this is a very good option and efficient option for clinicians who have a time constraint and cannot create a patient manually. Let's look at what it looks like when a patient actually completes an exercise session. So we'll head on over to a random patient who has already done an exercise session. I click on the calendar itself, and here we can browse the weeks that the patient has actually had a session active in, and then we can reach one of the days which the patient has completed an exercise. We'll probably be able to see blue scores on the exercises themselves, and I can click open results, and also I can click open feedback. So the feedback is actually 2 questions the patients answer once they finish an exercise session. How difficult was the session and how much pain they had, and they can also enter comments with free text. So we can view that here. And I can also view the results for that specific session. Once I open the results page, I can see the scores they got. I can see their stick figure. I can move through the different exercises and actually see a replay of their stick figure and what they did during the workout itself. So this is very useful if you want to go back and actually see the movement and the scores the patient did. Moving on to the staff area. So right here we have a list of staff members that can actually use the Kemtai dashboard with our clinic. To invite staff, we click on Invite Staff button. Here I can add emails of the clinicians I want to add to my clinic, separated by commas. And I can choose between 2 options. Clinic Manager is a clinician that will be able to see all of the patients in that clinic. Caregiver, on the other hand, will only be able to see their own patients, the patient they themselves are in charge of. So these are the 2 options for staff members. Once I click invite, they will obviously get an invite login code or link, and will be able to use the clinic themselves. Okay, let's have a look at what the patient end looks like. As a patient now, I surfed my browser to demo.care.kemtai.com, and this is where I will complete my sign-in process. Notice that the URL will change according to the name of your clinic and the subdomain of your own clinic. The patients you create manually will be able to access the specific login URL for your clinic using a link they will get to their email addresses and to their phones, or they will be able to log in after they signed up using the QR code that you will hand to them after creating a QR code generator. So right now, let's try the login with the email option. This obviously works also with the text messaging. Let me head back and get my dummy patient's email address. And now I have to go to my email and as a test patient, or as the patient, and get the code. Let's do that real quick. So this is my code. This will also happen every time the patient wants to log in. So this is a 2-step authentication process to make sure nobody logs in to see patient's exercises if they're not the patient itself. So this is what my screen as a patient looks like. I can click Start My Activity, and this actually runs the motion tracker. I can click Show Exercises, and this shows thumbnails and a quick version, a mini version of the exercises themselves. Please notice that if the patient does not start his or her activity and uses the camera to record their movements, you will not be able to see their motion capture replay, you won't be able to see the scores they got. They actually won't get any scores or immediate feedback because the system has to run the motion tracker when they are exercising. So just looking at these exercises and doing them without running the activity itself actually misses most of the advantages of using Kemtai. Another thing the patients can actually do in their patient area is read the how-to guide. They can go over the FAQ, and they can actually contact the support by clicking support and typing anything in and clicking send. So this is actually the patient side of Kemtai Care. This actually also works on laptop devices, desktops, mobile phones, and most of the tablets.